Do you have soft features? Are you fat? Do you feel like all of these trending makeup placements just look utterly ridiculous because they are all aiming for sculpted and snatched, and we want to make ourselves look skinnier and leaner and 10 years younger? Here's the opposite of that. That's what this tutorial is. Let's flatter your natural soft features with makeup, shall we? I'm starting the tutorial with foundation and concealer on but unset, because the first thing we need to talk about is contour. Contour is a complicated one. It's become such a mainstay of the modern makeup routine when in reality for most people on a day-to-day basis it's a very unnecessary step. And often the step is used to sculpt, which can look odd if you use just one of the trending placements when you really don't have angularity in your features. I'll show you how I do it. I have no interest in using contour to sculpt. It looks odd when I've tried it in the past. I used to be really into it. As I get older, the more I realize the purpose of contour on my features is to reintroduce dimension into a face that has been blanked out by foundation. When you use a medium to full coverage foundation, you're blanking out all the natural pigmentation and dimension your face usually has, and if I just walked out like this in real life, I'd look a little bit flat. So Westman Atelier's Biscuit is my favorite contour stick I've ever used, mostly because it's not a super hard gray and it's not super warm, so I can kind of use it in the bronzer areas as well and not look strange, if you get my mean. So around the perimeters of the face, and then if I'm focusing on flattering soft features, what I'll do is I'll just shade in this area a little bit. I have a little bit of a natural something here, and I'm working exactly with that shadow. I'm not trying to exaggerate it. I'm just trying to make sure that my foundation hasn't completely blanked out the natural structure of my face. A little bit of contour here, because if I contour a full jaw stripe, I look like Neapolitan ice cream. Not particularly helpful. I don't have a very sharp jaw because I am fat. Shocker. Pressing this in with a sponge. So there's no extreme contrast going on here. We're just not looking flat anymore. And now we're going to talk about blush, which is my favorite way to really make rounder, softer features sing. Real quick, let me actually just match up the two halves of my face, otherwise I'll forget. When it comes to blush, there are two things that we need to take into account with placement. Firstly, our desired effect. I have a round face. I'm okay with my face looking round. I'm not looking to rebalance or correct that fact. And secondly, this little hollow beneath my eyes, I have them genetically. Can't really do much about them. Not really sure I want to. But if I draw blush upwards into like the typical sculpted placement, or I bring it higher into this hollow, I find that unless my under eye routine is absolutely bulletproof, it can really accentuate the hollowness there and it makes it look worse than it actually is. So I'm using Isamaya Beauty's Fig Cheek Duo because I love this cool toned pink. Building it up. Just distributing it on the back of my hand to ensure that the cream blush isn't going to go on patchy. And then map the apples of the cheek while you're smiling. Start here, and I actually bring it down just ever so slightly into what I've been calling for years the Renaissance flush. I stole this blush placement from really pre-Raphaelite paintings, but I was into classical art. I saw how the masters used to paint like a flush on a model, and I was like, wow, that's really pretty. I can just use that in makeup. How amazing. When you're trained during your diploma to do makeup for film and television, you're trained to assess each face with the thought that an oval face shape is ideal and you should be using corrective placements to bring all features closer to that ideal. This is the opposite of that, which is why it's doing a bunch of things that currently aren't trending. I'm not lifting my placement slightly to look younger. I'm actually dragging it down to emulate kind of how I get rosy in the cheeks, and I think it's genuinely so pretty, and it makes me feel like I'm in a period drama. Spray and set the face in that order. This never changes. I'm going to walk you through a simple eyeshadow placement using this palette from Cheery Up, which is a Chinese brand. It doesn't have a number on the back of it, so take a look at it. That's what we're using. So we want to look at kind of the architecture of the eyes. Mine are quite downturned, so this outer corner sits lower than this inner corner. Also, when fully relaxed, I have quite hooded eyes. If I want to accentuate that, we're going to avoid hard liner, liquid, gel, all of the above. We're going to work in soft washes of color. So I'm just going to press a little bit of taupe over the lid without really blending it up whatsoever, because I want the pink or pastel purple, I think it's a cool toned pink here, to kind of be the star of the show. My mid-tone is on, taking a fluffier blending brush and my transition shade, and I'm just gonna blend that directly into the socket. So I'm taking a look at the eye look, and I'm noticing that these two shades are feeling like they're kind of the same depth level, whereas you want the shade that sits right against the lash line to be a little bit darker. So I'm just going to build it up slightly. So when I blend this eye look without really any purposeful intention other than blending, I'm not interested in winging out the shape or like drawing it out, what you'll notice is that the highest part of the blend is going to be that inner portion, because that's naturally the highest point in my socket line if I draw this along. Also, if you smile and you have this little pocket underneath your eyes, I find that's kind of all the space you have to work with, because I can blend eyeshadow down to there and really it just makes my eyes look larger, especially once mascara and false lashes and the like are applied. Don't be afraid to smoke out your eyeshadow a little bit extra. Into my Z palette, this is one of my favorite shades of all time. It's Gleam from Glamonatrix Cosmetics. I'm just gonna press it onto a finger and then press that onto the lid. Take a spoolie, any spoolie will do, and if you've overdone the shimmer placement, just go in and gently bring it down until you've got a little bit of a cleaner eye look. Now Bronte, I hear you say, does this just mean that if I have softer features I can't do my eyeliner forever? No, I'm just saying that for this specific brand of look, we'll want to be particular about it. We'll want to be strategic, just like we've been with everything else. My favorite form of eyeliner is just a really dark eyeshadow. I think it's easier to work with. I think there's less margin for error. And I may be a makeup artist, but I am also a lazy one. Now this eyeshadow palette isn't quite doing it for me for this specific tone, so I'm going to go into Danessa Myricks. I think we're going in somewhere around here on this little pointy detailed brush. It's a Sigma eyeliner brush, but this shape is what I love. Look at it. Isn't she beautiful? Now, for this look, I'm literally just going to wiggle that brush right on the lash line and then flip it around and kind of blend it out. Taking the same shade, I'm just going to hug the outer corner of the lower lash line, and if they meet a little bit, that's okay. That means you've angled everything correctly for specifically what we're trying to do. Lashes are going to be a complicated one because it's only trial and error that can help you find the lash that is perfect for your eye shape. And it's not necessarily going to be the lash that is perfect for my eye shape, because there are so many minute changes in the architecture of one's eyes between one person and the next that even if theoretically we have similar eyes, they may not work. All this to be said is that if you feel like lashes are too much, or they're like weighing down your eyes, or they just overwhelm every eye look, avoid them. I'm giving you permission. The insistence that we have to wear them to elevate any look is incorrect. A look is elevated because you choose to wear it and you put effort into it, not because it has lashes. I, however, saying that, if you know me on this channel, will be wearing them because I have found my perfect lash. And it's the Lash Bar Lash Pop Lashes in Pink Fetty. I only wear these. I get compliments on them. People in my day-to-day life for some reason think these are just my lashes, despite the fact that they feel very obviously false to me. I'll show you. People always ask how I wear false lashes every day and why they look natural. And a small tip that I'm going to give you that I feel like people skip frequently is you need to close this gap. The gap between this inner corner and the start of the lash line, and I use a tiny little liquid eyeliner to do so. Go in. The smaller the liquid eyeliner brush, the better for this, which is why Chinese eyeliners rock, honestly. And that little bit of definition being added over here will really help everything just look a bit more seamless, I think. For brows, you're going to look me in my little shaved eyebrows and you're going to understand that I am not the person to talk to about flattering your natural eyebrows. I like mine how I like mine. I'm gonna do them, I'm gonna polish them, we're gonna be back. We're gonna circle back. Brows done. I'm taking a little bit of powder blush. This is Kaleidos's Pale Rose. I find this is just a really good sheer wash of colour that's not going to completely eat up the tone of the cream blush, because I put that cream blush on for a reason. I would like to see a little bit of it. I think where things get sketchy for me sometimes is powder contour, because the reason you add a powder on top of a cream is often to intensify it. And most contour powders I found really like to stick to my creams because I tend to not set the perimeters of my face whatsoever. So I'm not going to add anything there because the cream contour has served the purpose that I want the entirety of the contour product to do. I am going to go back in with a little bit of a highlight. I want a little bit more life in the skin, so just back into the Isamaya Beauty Duo, and I'm just going to tap it on the cheekbone, and then I'm going to bring it down a little bit over the apple of the cheek. And I just think that's really, really pretty. Now for lips. Here's something to consider. If you were trying to accentuate softer features and you've done all these beautiful soft watercolor placements, why would you then go in and do a really hard lip line if that wasn't like a contrasting element that you were specifically choosing for the lip look? Softer lips, so gorgeous, so stunning. Starting with one of the Lily by Red's lip blending sticks. Korean lip liners are so good if you have a little bit of a softer face and you have a double lip line, which means you struggle to do the really crisp overline. I find this really helpful. Make sure that's kind of blended into the lip with a finger. This is one of the new Flower Nose Sweetie Bear lip tints in JE04. I'm just going to take this and apply towards the center of the lip and kind of pull it out as I get less and less product on the bulk of the applicator. And this is the finished look. It's so soft and pretty and so flattering to softer features, but also I think the tips and tricks that I've contained within this video can be applied to a whole host of different features and be used to flatter each of them as they should be on it, if you get what I mean. I hope if you try this look you feel beautiful. I hope something I said here was useful. I love you all so much and I'll see you another time. Bye.